Ladies and gentlemen, it's Teaksy here, and welcome today, guys, to my 1,000 subscriber Q&A video. A huge thank you to all of you that submitted questions and took part. Today, I think we've got about 10 questions or so to get through. There were a couple of you that asked very similar questions, so we'll merge those together. And I'm just going to have the questions pop up on the screen as we go and just have some random gameplay playing in the background. So in no particular order, we're going to start off with Chasing Trout, who says maybe just your general opinion of BO7, since BO6 has really been such a letdown for most people. So cheating a little bit, because at the time of recording, the Black Ops 7 reveal and Black Ops 7 Direct, there's already those videos have already come out. We know a little bit more about the game now, right? And I don't want to go too much into detail today because I've got a separate video coming out shortly on Black Ops 7. But I think, to be honest with you, Black Ops 6 was just an incredibly disappointing Call of Duty, right? You know, I think that it was kind of given to us that it had been in development for 4 years. I think there was a lot of hype around this game before it came out, and I think a lot of people were, myself included, were excited to have Treyarch back, you know, behind the wheel. Their first game since Black Ops Cold War, and it really just didn't turn out to be the game we thought it was going to be, and pretty much got left after release, right? The game's just gone downhill since then. The post-launch content's been not great. You know, there's been some horrible things added to the game. So, yeah, I mean, time will tell on whether or not, you know, Black Ops 7 can be successful. It has to be better than Black Ops 6, right? If it's worse than Black Ops 6, I think the Call of Duty franchise is in big trouble. And to be fair, based on the early feedback, we might already be in a bit of trouble, right? So time will tell, but, you know, I'm just hoping that Black Ops 7 will be a decent game, you know, and just a game that they support and, you know, give good post-launch content and just really, you know, put their heart and soul into the game rather than doing what they've done with Black Ops 6 and just letting it die out. So thank you, Chasing Trout, for that question. Next up, we've got Dan, who asked 2 questions. His first one was, what would I like to see added and or removed in Black Ops 7? So I think, to be fair, like, you know, without saying the obvious, skill-based matchmaking to be removed, right, and the horrible skins to be removed, I think, to be honest, I want to see the perk system reevaluated. I think the perk system in Black Ops 6, you know, it kind of forced you to play a certain way. Like, you could, like, basically group a couple of perks together, and it just made getting score streaks almost too easy. But then if you didn't have those perks on, it made score streaks seem like they were really challenging to get right. And I just don't like it when you've got something in the game like that that is, like, so imbalanced that, you know, it's really good one way and really bad the other. Like, I think they just need to balance that, and bringing it into perks as well. You know, that's just a little bit annoying. I think the specialist perks as well. I wasn't a fan of the recon one where you could see through walls. I know they kind of, you know, dumbed that down a little bit, right, to be a very short period of time, but I just wasn't a fan of it. I think the green perk specialist, you know, again, just boosting score to a ridiculous amount. Like, yeah, I just think get rid of those. And I would have probably said tac sprint as well, but of course, you know, they are getting rid of that, which is, you know, a huge W. In terms of what I'd like to see added, I just want to see some decent maps. You know, I want to see some decent weapons, and I want to see the anti-cheat actually working. I want to see actual progress when it comes to the anti-cheat. So thanks, Dan, for that question. And he also had a second question, which was, on average, how long does it take for me to edit a YouTube video? So it's a little bit challenging to put a number on it, right? I think that editing is a huge part of content, and it does take a lot of time. I think if you took one of my Black Ops Cold War videos, for example, say I drop a nuke in a gameplay, so there's just one gameplay for me to edit. Normally, I'll go through it and cut out all the dead bits. I'll then watch it back again as a viewer and then try and kind of cut it down a little bit more where possible. And then I'll watch it again one more time once it's, you know, once I'm happy with it, and then I'll render it. And then I'll watch it another time once it's uploaded to YouTube to make sure nothing weird happened during the rendering process or uploading it to YouTube. And I'd probably say they're the easiest ones to edit, and probably somewhere between like an hour and a half to 2 hours maybe, to put a ballpark number on it. And I don't even go too crazy on editing, right? That's one of the things I would say. Like, my editing is very basic, very simple. I don't go too crazy with it. But, you know, there have been many times where I've said, I'm just going to go in my room and, you know, just really, really quickly put a video together. 2 or 3 hours later, you're still there, right? It's just absolutely mental. And especially, for example, when I revisited Black Ops 1 the other sort of about a month ago now, I had to edit that video for YouTube. I had to go through 2 hours worth of stream footage, right? Which just is absolutely insane. So I'd probably say somewhere around 2 hours for kind of a ballpark figure, but you know, it fluctuates between every video is different, and more often than not it takes an awful lot of time. So thank you, Dan, for both of those questions. So next up, we've got a question from Jack, better known as Pringles, says, for COD noobs like me, if I wanted to, how quickly could I potentially get to a level where I could be a decent player? So I think, quick disclaimer before I answer this question, I'm not the best COD player in the world, right? You know, I've always considered myself to be a half decent player, but I know there's a lot of people out there that are better than me. And the other thing is there's various different ways to be good at Call of Duty, right? You know, I think, you know, using specific weapons, you know, being good at specific game modes. You know, some people like to go for like high kill death ratio. Other people like to go for high win loss. So there's a lot of different ways to be good at Call of Duty. But I would say these days, like, there's a lot of help out there, right? Compared to when I was younger. You know, I've been playing Call of Duty for a lot of years. I think I would say that. And even now, I'm always looking for ways to improve. You know, which might sound silly for somebody who just plays pubs, but that's just how I've always been. Like, I always want to try and be the best I can at anything I do, and if I'm not that good, normally I'm not very happy. So I'm always kind of chasing that high, trying to, you know, find ways to improve. You know, maybe how could I have played a certain situation a little bit better, or, you know, what did I do wrong type thing. So I think these days, like I say, there's a lot of help out there. I think nailing down your settings is the most important thing, right? There's so many settings in Call of Duty now, which is a bit of a pain, but it's really important that you can aim. And then once you get your aim on point, you then need to kind of get your movement on point without losing the aim, right? So I think, you know, playing in private match against bots can be really helpful for that. But once you kind of get your aim and your movement down, you're in a pretty good place, or you've got a good base sort of starting point. And I think from then, it's really about learning the maps, learning the game modes, and how does each game mode work on each map. Because ultimately, a lot of the time on Call of Duty, you know, shooting straight is good and being able to move is good, but it's all about predicting what your opponents are going to do, right? It's about being a couple of steps ahead and almost reading the game before it happens, right? And that's one of the, you know, that just comes over time, you know, just getting reps in, playing the game. But, and again, I think a lot of it comes down to how much do you want to improve, but also what are you trying to achieve? When you say, like, be a decent player, are you looking to win more games? Are you looking to just go positive? Are you looking to drop nukes, right? You know, it's sort of baby steps, but once you sort of find that, you take that first step and maybe you go positive, you then want to keep chasing that higher. Maybe you get your first kill streak, like a decent kill streak, and you're like, right, I want to do that again, or I want to get an even higher kill streak. So I think putting a timestamp on it is a bit hard. I'd probably say maybe, like, if you really put your mind to it, like a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months max, you could definitely make huge improvements. But I think a lot of it just generally comes down to, you know, kind of how much you want to improve and what it is that you're really looking for. So yeah, I hope that's kind of helped. It's a little bit challenging to put an exact time on it, but thanks, Pringles, for that question. Next up, we've got Observer, who says, name one streak that you'd want to return in BO7 that isn't in BO6. For me, it's probably the Black Ops 1 Attack Dogs or the Black Ops 3 Dart. So I think Attack Dogs is a huge shout. I think the only thing I would say about Attack Dogs is I always thought they would have suited Black Ops Cold War really well. I think that Cold War, you know, was a lot more in line with kind of the Black Ops 1 time period, right? And I think Attack Dogs should have been a score streak in Black Ops Cold War. I think in the 2035 setting of Black Ops 7, would it work? You probably could get it to work, but it might not seem ideal. I think for me, I'd probably go with the wraps from BO3, right? The wraps in BO3 were absolutely insane. If you got wraps, you were rewarded, right? They were so overpowered. They annihilated the other team. And just when I recently revisited BO3, a couple of games in a row, a guy on the other team got wraps, and we were just getting absolutely destroyed. So I think wraps for me, I feel like they would really suit the 2035 time period as well. Also asked me, how is the combat bow in Black Ops 6 his favorite score streak? I heard it just got added. I'll be completely honest, I've not played huge amounts of Black Ops 6 lately. When I have been playing, I've just been going for camos, so I've not used the combat bow, so I'm afraid I can't answer that one. But surely it's got to be better than the Cold War version, right? So thank you, though, Observer, for that question. So next up, we've got Advate. It's got a couple of questions. It says, how can you not like gravy, and how often do you sleep through alarms? So I feel like you're going to get me in a little bit of trouble here, Advate. So I think you know I don't like gravy because I'm incredibly fussy, right? A really, really fussy eater. I feel like the next time I stream after this video, you guys are going to be on me, asking me all these questions about food, and quite simply, it'd be better to just ask me what I do like rather than what I don't like. I am a really, really fussy eater, and I do not like gravy, but please do not unsubscribe from the channel, right? I can't help it. It's just the way I am. And how often do I sleep through alarms? Well, as you work with me, Advait, I think you know very, very often, right? I am often late for work. I am terrible at getting up. I always have been, always will be, right? You know, I'm almost 30 now. I think it's gone. I think it's just going to be with me for life, right? That I can't get up. I've always been terrible. But I'm very fortunate to work for a company where they're very laid back, very relaxed. You know, you can just make time up, sort of do flexible hours. So, yeah, very lucky in that point. But yeah, I am a very fussy eater and I'm horrible at getting up in the morning. So thank you, Advait, for those questions. So last but not least, we've got two questions from Kip2K and Razzle Jazzle, who both asked very similar questions. Kip said, what do I see for the future of this channel? Am I planning on sticking to COD or FPS games in general? Or are there other games that I'm passionate about that I may post in the future? And Razzle Jazzle asked a very similar question, but just kind of worded it as, where do I see the channel in 5 years? And will I ever upload any other games? So firstly, the future of this channel. Right this minute, sat here, the spark is still there for playing Call of Duty, right? You know, I still love playing COD now, regardless of what's gone on in the franchise the last 5 or 6 years. I still love COD. I still love playing the game. And, you know, I think whilst that spark's there and I'm enjoying creating content, I want this channel to go on for as long as it possibly can, right? And I think recently hitting 1,000 subscribers and kind of, you know, 4,000 watch hours and achieving what YouTube sets you as a goal when you first start, I feel like it's allowed me to relax a little bit now. And I think moving forwards, there is a part of me that thinks if we do keep going and, you know, with having the games room now and you know, an editing software that renders videos very quickly and allows me to upload a lot more and upload better content, right, getting in front of the camera, I kind of think in the future, if we keep going, what's to stop us growing, right, and maybe getting to 5,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, right? It might seem a long way away at the moment and it may not be possible, but I feel like I can kind of have those dreams now because I've proved to myself that I can achieve and I can grow this channel. Specifically, as a lot of this channel's growth has come from Black Ops Cold War, a game that is going to be 5 years old this year, and still even this year, people have subscribed to the channel, right? So I do hope that we can go on for as long as we can, but I'm also very, very realistic in the fact that I'm going to be 30 years old in December this year. I've got a baby on the way in February, which is going to have a huge, huge impact on my life. And I just don't know exactly what the future holds because Call of Duty itself is not in a great place. You know, I think that's another reason why I'm so proud to have achieved what I have done, because I think COD's been on the downhill for a little while now. So trying to build a YouTube channel up around Call of Duty is challenging. And I think a lot of my content is gameplay related. Gameplay related content just doesn't hit like it used to, right? You know, there's so many issues around other creators and fake content. It's very, very hard to, you know, make that content and, you know, get people to stick around and get people to believe, you know, in what you're doing. So yeah, I think ultimately when it comes to the future of this channel, I hope we're still here in another 5 years doing it. But at the same time, if we're not, then I think I'll always look back and be pleased with what I did achieve and be happy that I attempted this and kind of went with it. And I think Call of Duty will eventually probably be the cause if I do walk away, because I just think that the games at the moment are just not hitting with so many people. And if people aren't interested, then it's very hard to build the channel up, right? So that's kind of what I think about the future of the channel. On one foot, I'm like, we could grow. On another side, I'm like, I just don't know, right? It's going to be a very interesting couple of years ahead, I think, with the next couple of titles. In terms of playing other games, I don't think I'll ever upload anything else like as my only content, right? You know, we might cover a bit of Battlefield when it rolls out. You know, historically, we did the same with XDefiant. But there's not really any other games that I'm passionate about that I'd want to upload. But the other problem is when you choose to create content on a game, you almost sacrifice that game, right? You know, there is no just jumping on Call of Duty now. You know, if I'm jumping on COD, I'm getting all my setup ready, right? I'm making sure my mic's good, making sure my webcam's good, you know, putting my ring lights on, you know, making sure my lights in my room are on. Like, you know, there's so much that goes into it. You don't just play it casually anymore. I don't just turn on COD and think, you know what, I'll just run a couple of games. And I think there's no... But the reason it works is because I love COD so much, right? And I could just never see myself doing that with another game. And I think if you take GTA 6, for example, coming out next year, I'm so excited for that game to release. But I'm also excited to just have a game where I could just come back from work and just hop on and not have to worry about the content side of it and just, you know, kind of play the game and enjoy myself. So yeah, I think ultimately I'll never ever, at least at the moment, I don't think I'll ever create content on another game. I think it will always be Call of Duty, and I think the long-term future of this channel is very much going to come down to whether or not Call of Duty can sort their shit out. So thank you, Kip and Razzle Jazzle, for those questions. Oh, sorry, one more from Kip before I leave you. Sorry, Kip, almost overlooked it. Second question was, what does my setup look like? What mic and headset do I use? What do I capture my gameplay with, etc.? Perhaps a setup reveal soon. So I'll be honest, I have considered doing a setup reveal, but I've never really wanted to be one of those people that just shows you my setup for the sake of showing it, right? But if you guys would be interested in seeing my setup, I mean, my lighting in my room can be a bit dodgy sometimes, but if you guys would be interested, if this video hits 20 likes, I will do a setup reveal. But in case it doesn't hit 20 likes, I will quickly run through the main bits of equipment that I use. So I've got a Blue Yeti microphone. I've had this ever since I started. My webcam is a Logitech, I think C920 1080p webcam. I've got two monitors. My current monitor, my main one that I use, is an MSI 240 hertz curved gaming monitor. I think it's about 27 inches. Whereas my original monitor that I used for the first 3 or 4 years on YouTube, which is now kind of my second monitor, is also an MSI, but it's a 24-inch, again, curved gaming monitor, but it's 144 hertz. My gaming PC is got a 4060 graphics card in, I think. I don't know much about the, you know, the internal components of a PC, right? I got a friend to build it. I don't really get too involved in that stuff. I've also got an Xbox One, Xbox 360, PlayStation 5. I'm running the Astro A40 tournament ready headset. I upgraded to this when I moved to PC back in 2020, and I've just not looked back. This is my second set though. I don't know what happened. Somehow I broke my first set. I think it was just wear and tear. I'm not the sort of person to throw things around. And then from a controller standpoint, I'm now using the SCUF Pro PlayStation 5 controller. I did originally have a SCUF Infinity 4PS PlayStation 4 controller, but wear and tear, I had to upgrade earlier this year, and unfortunately they don't make the PS4 controller anymore. So I had to move to PS5, but as somebody who grew up on Xbox, I must say the PlayStation controllers are 100% the way to go. They just feel so much more comfortable in my hands. So thanks, Kip, for that question. Thanks again also, Razzle Jazzle. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video. Again, guys, a huge thank you to everybody who got involved. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, and you want to see a setup reveal tour, then please do hit the like button down below. As I said, if this video hits 20 likes, I will do a setup reveal. And yeah, well, that leaves me to say, guys, is I hope you will have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.